Hi and welcome everyone. My name is Pauline Bombeck. I am from the Bitkom startup team Get Started. It's a small step for me, but a big step for mankind. I think we all know this sentence. Today, some 50 years after the moon landing, the new space race begins, and this sentence once again has an important meaning. Space is to be used for business, to become more innovative, for example, to conduct tests in a vacuum, to connect us with each other through satellite internet, or to observe our Earth and draw important conclusions from it. But what is actually up there? What added values does new space offer? And above all, what role do startups play? I am happy to welcome Sven Przywarra on stage. Sven is co-founder from LiveEO, a Berlin-based new space startup. LiveEO is an Earth observation company and global market leader in bringing the insights of Earth observation data to customers in the enterprise sector. A big round of applause for Sven.
Hello, everyone.
Sven, so happy to have you on stage. I'm looking forward to hearing how you bring this data down to earth and how observation can benefit economy and society.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for being here, and it's super nice to see so many of you here in person again. It has been a long time since we were able to come together like this. Exactly. My name is Sven Przywarra. I'm one of the two co-founders of LiveEO. We are a Berlin-based Earth observation company of roughly 90 people right now. But the company was founded not because we were so lucky, but because this is happening more and more often. I think we all get used to seeing these pictures online, on TV and on the media, meaning that we see more and more launches of rockets bringing smaller and smaller satellites up to space. And all of these launches and all of these roaring rocket engines enable us to see something happening right in front of our own eyes, which we call new space revolution, a revolution in orbit. Over the last couple of years, we haven't seen an explosion in the number of satellites being in space right now. And these satellites are there obviously for a reason. It was already mentioned earlier, communication, but also a very important fact is Earth observation. We right now have hundreds of satellites monitoring every single space here on Earth with an up-to-daily frequency. And all these satellites produce data about Berlin, about Bangalore, about Kinshasa, about everything on the surface of the Earth with a magnitude which has never seen before, and with a level of detail which is also incredible. So when we started our company, we asked ourselves, who could benefit from this data the most? And we said, okay, in fact, everyone can benefit from this Earth observation data. And my core belief is that within 10 years, every major industry will benefit from satellite data. But we said that the Earth observation sector, in the very beginning, when we started in 2014, could bring a lot of value to infrastructure grids globally. These infrastructure grids are the backbone of our modern society, connecting all of us and making our industrial society happen. So more than 40 million kilometers of railways, pipeline, and electrical grids all across the globe can, in our belief, benefit from satellite data. Why is that? Because all of these assets need to be maintained, insured, and secured. And the thing is that right now, all of these processes would need data around these assets. The problem is that this data is not really available just because these assets are, by definition, so distributed. So a lot of these processes are based on assumptions, based on manual information gathering, which in the end results in high operational cost, downtimes, and in the end shortened asset lifetimes. So how do you solve these problems? You get data around these assets. And obviously, we believe that you can get this data from space. The problem right now is that you have, as said, numerous satellites up there providing different types of data. And right now, really no big enterprise companies using this data. The reason is because there's too big gap between the data itself and actionable insights which can really be used operationally in the day-to-day operations. And we are bridging this gap with LiveEO. We are taking data from a range of operators, harmonizing this data, applying AI, and identifying where these assets are exposed to an external threat, and bring this data to managers to make better decisions, and to people in the field to be more productive. So we're really covering this end-to-end. But to make it a little bit more practical, what are some of our use cases? Right now, these three areas, vegetation management, third-party interference monitoring, ground deformation, all of these are threats to infrastructure grids. But as vegetation is something which is very tangible, let's focus on that. Vegetation, so meaning trees next to overhead lines, railways, pipelines, are an issue, and I'm sure that you potentially stood at a train track one day and were seeing, okay, the train is not driving because a tree fell onto the grid. Similar things happen to electrical grids. In fact, 30% of all outages are caused due to trees which fall onto networks. And obviously, especially in California and Southern Europe, thousands of wildfires are being started by trees which grow too close into the overhead lines. And this is although grid operators spending millions, and in the US even billions of US dollars every single year on the maintenance of these trees. Why is that? Because they have this cycle-based processes. They don't have information where the issues are really. And we are resolving that. What we're doing is we are monitoring entire networks. We're precisely identifying where trees are coming too close to overhead lines on satellite imagery. And we're breaking this down into actionable tasks which then can really be used by them. And what we've seen is that utilities are able to save 30% of cost. Obviously, they are able to save operational CO2 emissions as well as preventing wildfires. And in the end, also safety and the reliability of our networks is increased, which becomes more and more important as we rely more and more, for example, on the electricity which reaches our homes. These are the reasons why grid operators already all across the globe are using our solution. And we are the leaders in this space. We have customers on every continent of the earth. And this is really the great beauty about satellite data. You don't have any fixed cost. You can apply your service with a click of a button in South America, in North America, in Africa, or anywhere across the globe. And we've done this not only on a grid-by-grid operator basis, so for the operators which are maintaining this grid, but as a kind of use case and trial, we tried to analyze the entire US transmission network. There's more than 500,000 miles, which really spans, obviously, the entire country. And it was really an interesting undertaking. But this really shows really super good what the USP of satellite data is. Insights all across the globe without sensors or any person on site. What we've done as a company, we've been able to grow constantly over the last couple of years, are aiming now to reach over 3 million euros this year. We have an office in Berlin, which is our main office. You're happy to visit us at Prinzenstraße in Berlin-Kreuzberg. We have another office in Latvia and one in the US. We're right now in the expansion phase. And I think the best thing, or for me at least, about the company is the team which we have. We've assembled a team of more than 30 nations with great talents at every position. We're looking for much more talent as we are right now in the process of closing our next financing round right now. So with this team and the next financing round, we want to embark on an even bigger mission, which I already briefly touched on at the very beginning. The belief of Daniel, my co-founder, and myself is that satellite data can benefit every asset owner anywhere across the globe. And this is why we're now expanding also into adjacent markets, as we believe that not only infrastructure grids, but streets, bridges, infrastructure grids, solar parks, any kind of asset which is outdoors, which needs to be maintained and needs to be productive, can benefit from these insights. That means that automotive companies can benefit from the insights when they know that the supply of lithium and other essential raw materials is maybe shortened, because you can monitor the mines anywhere across the globe. Companies which have a big asset base can benefit from these insights because they know exactly when to maintain and when to renew their assets anywhere, if it's a chemical park or if it's a production site anywhere across the globe. Logistics companies can benefit from these insights because they know precisely when trains might be delayed and maybe border a train station somewhere in Kazakhstan. All of this can be monitored from space, and this is exactly what we want to do at LiveEO and what we will do with LiveEO. Our goal is to monitor 1 billion assets by 2030. So if you want to know more about Earth observation insights, if you want to know how your company potentially can benefit from these insights and how you can save operational costs or improve reliability and safety, or if you want to team up with us as an employee, as a partner, or as an investor, I would be more than happy to talk to you here at the conference or online. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your pitch, Sven. So everybody is talking about new space right now, but what is actually new in space?
Yeah, so there's no clear definition about new space, but broadly you can say that new space versus old space, which has been everything, for example, this big space company, Northrop Grumman, Airbus, OHB, and so forth, which also say they are doing now new space. All these companies in the past always had big budgets funded by the government, had satellites which cost millions, if not billions of dollars. They had classical waterfall project management. It took ages to get something in space. And then at the beginning of this century, we saw something changing in that market. We saw standardization happening. Something is called a CubeSat, which is a satellite standard where everyone now can build on the same standard. So the containerization, you could say, of satellites. Secondly, we have seen venture capital coming in that space, and startup mindset and working methods have been applied to the space industry, meaning building smaller, cheaper, failing faster, but iterating quicker. And then thirdly, I think something which obviously has been driven by SpaceX and Elon Musk is the decreasing cost to access space. All of this, again, has enabled a lot of companies to try to iterate, to build quicker, and this is all about new space, trying to do things with a little bit more risk, but being quicker in terms of innovation, and just being, I would say that's the main thing. And this is why we right now see hundreds of new companies, also in Germany. It's incredible how many new space companies we see.
Yeah, and right now there really is a big hype about new space, but LiveEO was already founded 5 years ago. So what made you the forerunner in this area?
Yeah, so when I went to, so I could go way back. Obviously, when I saw Star Wars when I was 6, that was the reason why I started the company. But more recently, I studied and I started to work at another space company which wanted to send a private space rover to the moon in 2013. I started there. But my co-founder, myself, my co-founder is an aerospace engineer. We were seeing all these projections of what would come next. And we said, okay, well, we have to anticipate what will happen. And that was when we started the company in 2017. It's great to see that all the projections are now really becoming reality. And that was when we started, and we started an event series where we tried to form a network and to make sure that our feeling is really based on facts. And when all of this came together, then we said, okay, let's do it.
Great, great. So as you already mentioned, new space is a fast-growing industry, and many big players are actually already active in this industry. So what are the biggest challenges for startups in this industry right now?
Yes, so I think you always have to divide between like software companies working in new space like ourselves and the hardware companies building satellites and rockets. Obviously, with the latter one, it's definitely cash. Always cash. Cash is king, especially at the current market conditions. It might be a little bit more difficult to raise venture capital right now than it used to be in the past. But getting to venture capital, especially as we are always speaking still about not millions but tens of millions, this is, I think, the main difficulty. And the other one is competitiveness amongst employees, because you don't have a lot of space engineers out there, and with the growing industry, obviously it becomes a competitive labor market. But in the end, I think like a lot of startups and also other fields have to deal with these challenges. So I think a lot of these new space startups will also manage to get through that.
So capital and talents, I think these are challenges that many startups are facing right now. I've heard that you recently started exploring the insurance industry as well. So can you explain to us what exactly Earth observation has to do with insurances?
Sure. So insurances are obviously craving for data and craving for insights so that they can better predict the risk to an asset they want to insure, or they want to obviously see when an asset is exposed to or is damaged through any kind of external event, so that they can pay out the money as quickly as possible. And these are also mainly the two areas where a lot of satellite data can help insurances. So on the one hand side, and I give some practical examples from the agricultural space, where satellite data is already in wide use. So, for example, if you're a farmer and you want to insure your field for example, hail insurance, you can go to an insurance company and they would pay you out the money directly if hail has hit your fields. And this is something what they can do just because they monitor your field with satellite data. Or drought detection can also be seen, because on satellite images you can see when a crop is exposed to drought and when it's declining in vitality. And you can monitor this through space, and so the insurance can directly pay out the money without having someone to look at the data. And so what we are doing is we're taking this approach from the agricultural space into the industrial space, into the space we were speaking about individual, fixed, distributed outdoor assets. This is where our key competency is. And yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space.
Apart the insurance industry, which other markets will be important and interesting for you in the future?
Yeah, so I touched on it a little bit. I mean, the forestry market is right now extremely interesting because obviously or maybe do one step back. I think we're living in a world right now which is much more, where we have many more changes. We have climate change, we have geopolitical changes, we have changes in society when it comes to workforce and all of that. And all of that benefits satellite data because you need more insights to make sense out of this changing world and to also work with this changing world. And so, for example, in the forestry space, the climate change is having a big impact on our forests, and obviously our forests are one of our strongest partners when it comes to fighting climate change. So we have developed a solution which helps to fight off bark beetle detection, which we're right now testing some of Germany's biggest forestry owners. Another space is the logistics industry, as said, with the changes and the disruptions of supply chains all across the globe. With satellite insights about the different areas where this could happen, I think we can help not only the people running these supply chains, but us as customers to have a better experience. And then the other area is, I think, the entire area of waste management and recycling. I think there's a huge potential in that market. And we have a business development team exploring just these areas, and I'm very envious. I would love to be just in this team. And we have some open positions in this team as well.
Great, so many more markets for you to explore. One more general question, what is your vision for LiveEO?
Yeah. So I think we have seen it in a lot of other technology areas that we have seen, like big US companies becoming the global market leader. And we believe that Europe is at the forefront when it comes to satellite data. We have the Copernicus program, a great program by the European Commission, providing all of us with satellite data free of charge. And we believe that this, and just the great talent base which we have here in Germany and in Europe, is the perfect breeding ground to build the global market leader in Earth observation, and that's our goal. We want to become the company which monitors enterprise assets all across the globe, monitors 1 billion assets by 2030, and becomes the default go-to player when it comes to, okay, where do I get insights about my remote assets from?
That sounds super interesting. Sven, last and final question. You're the new space expert. Are we alone in the universe?
I don't think so, but I don't think they look like the green, I don't know, the green aliens we know from movies. Yeah, they might be very small and microbes.
Thank you so much for your pitch. Thank you for the super interesting insights on how to monitor infrastructure networks from space. A big round of applause for Sven from LiveEO.
Thank you very much. Thank you.